على النبي هيلا صل على النبي يا مهول
So I was looking through the internet and I found a different number for projected box office for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, at least the domestic. 65 million with $140 million worldwide opening weekend. Now, I project it's 130 million. But I stumbled onto this website that basically put out how much money this movie cost and said 395 million with the reshoots not added. With the reshoots added, we estimate $500 million. Then you go through which makes it the most expensive Indiana Jones film in history, and Harrison Ford, there isn't an admittance. He didn't admit, oh, we had to do a new scene. Like, they were guilty of something. They redid the ending. He talked about it, okay? Now, there's another part of this article. I'm going to let you guys read it. It's a short one, so it's not too involved. The Last Jedi cost $300 million. The Rise of Skywalker, $416 million. The Force Awakens, I think, $447 million. Okay, it made 2.3 or 2.03. How much money did The Force Awakens really come in with? Okay, these are, I didn't know that. Okay, we all knew that there were rumored issues going on with that. J.W. Rinsler was not allowed by Disney to talk about reshoots, problems, etc. Harrison Ford having the Millennium Falcon angrily drop its landing platform on his foot was a problem. So it's interesting to me, all three movies, and the ones with the reshoots. And look, these are numbers. We don't know what the real numbers are. They're probably higher, okay? And the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which should have been a $225 million shoot, ends up being close to $400 million, they say, which is, to me, no. We know that there were reshoots. We know that both Bob Chapek, when he was at Disney, and Bob Iger screamed at Kennedy over the fact that the movie, that they didn't like it. Okay, what's wrong with this picture? With all of these? It is not Simon Emanuel's fault. He was the producer that was there every day. If past is prologue, and we know that Kathleen Kennedy didn't watch the dailies for Soilo until it was 80% done and was horrified by what she saw, then we can assume that neither her nor her husband, who gets overlooked in all of this, understood what was going on the set of Dial of Destiny. Okay, maybe she did show up on the set. Maybe Frank did. But, you can't find pictures of them behind the scenes. You can't find anybody talking about Kathy came in the other day to do something. I've heard stories from behind the scenes about how people feel about her that worked on it, and it wasn't kind when she would show up. Again, this is macro-managing in a way that allows for fuck-ups to happen, too much money to be spent, and a movie not being well put together. Okay. Again, a friend of mine just saw it in Britain last night, told me it's pretty good. Okay. I'm not going to listen to anybody who has a hard time with Harrison Ford being 80 years old. I've seen YouTubers talk about Depends diapers. These are people who are not in good shape in their mid-40s, being ageist, critical assholes. And again, I don't get to call them that to their faces because they don't want to hear about it. Okay? Goes right back to my video yesterday about censorship. If a fandom menacer or anybody who's critical of Kathleen Kennedy to the point where they're fanatics doesn't like being called out for their own fanaticism and not being reasonable and adult, they will shut you up, okay? They're just as bad as the shills. Okay, they're just as bad. Okay, so what exactly does all this mean for Dial of Destiny? It's probably a movie that should have been made. Look, they were ready to make it in 2017, and then it didn't happen. And I'm thinking it was Kathleen Kennedy and her husband who kept hemming and hawing. They didn't like the script, didn't like this. And you got to remember, 2017, everybody, was when the restarted for the SJWs. Okay, all this SJW shit, this tranny shit, this diversity and inclusion shit, DEI, is an exact attack on Trump. That's why it was a reaction to Donald Trump. No more, no less. And instead of making moves that the audience wanted to see, we got lectured by people like Ryan Johnson, okay? We got lectured by bimbos like Brie Larson, okay? We got lectured by insipid perverts like John Kasdan, okay? And the result is, for Disney, 7 films that lost almost $1 billion, and the Dial of Destiny it's basically not breaking even, which, according to Sparrow, Kennedy was told, if it doesn't break even, and if it doesn't make $1 billion, and it doesn't break even, you don't get your bonus, okay? And this movie's failure will be the epic slap in the face, not only for Kathleen Kennedy, but for her husband. Okay, go back and look at the video, the close-up, where he turns to look at the audience, he's all proud, and then Spielberg, looking at Harrison Ford, says John Williams. And the look on his face is like, and he just grabs Kathy, says, let's go, and there you go. Okay, Kathy ushers George off the stage like he wanted her to do that, okay? I mean, George didn't want to be there with her. He was obviously not happy with what was going on at all. And he also knew that there was going to be a public execution, which is exactly what both Spielberg and Ford did. Okay, now we've got these numbers. We have at least 3 huge budget movies Kennedy was in charge of, one of which her husband was also in charge of. And look at how over budget they ended up being. Rise of Skywalker, The Force Awakens, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. We don't even know how much Rogue One cost, okay? Because the article did not state where Rogue One as far as what it cost to make. And look, these numbers for these movies are not the numbers that we got from Disney. These are the numbers that are probably kind of close to reality, except for the Dial of Destiny, which, because of reshoots, probably cost another $100 to $200 million more. And let me explain something. The reason why Iger is so mad at Kennedy is, first off, she was an absentee mom. All right. Second of all, she can't manage a budget. Okay. She can't balance her own fucking checkbook. All right. Third of all, she's about as creative as a cantaloupe. Okay. There's a reason why Spielberg and Lucas and Ford never let these two fart blossoms into the circle of trust, because they knew with Indiana Jones that these two didn't have what it took to make a decent movie, and they couldn't balance a budget. They could not keep within budget. They could not keep within reason. Okay. And while they worked on these movies, and while Kennedy was able to elbow Rick McCallum out of Lucasfilm, they were still never allowed in that circle of trust. And you saw that last week, okay, at the Los Angeles premiere of Dial of Destiny. Okay. There's partnerships, there's business partnerships, and, maybe these two clowns finally showed who they were. Okay, I think Kennedy and Marshall are partners with Spielberg with Amblin, but I'm not sure. They're not with DreamWorks. DreamWorks is Spielberg, Katzenberg, and David Geffen. Okay, that's what that is. And they're not with, and that's the bigger studio. So, and then they have, of course, the Kennedy Marshall Company. But I think these two had pretensions to be lauded, and the hubris to think they would be if they did an Indiana Jones flick without the maker and the director. Okay, who were the brain trust and the creative geniuses behind the first 4 movies. Okay. All right. That's the issue right here. And that's why they're getting called out now. This is why Lucasfilm is in such, I think, bad financial shape. Okay? It's a black hole of suck right now for Disney. When I look at the numbers quoted by this website, $447 million for The Force Awakens. And nothing in that movie was what the fans wanted. Okay? $416 million they found for The Rise of Palpatine. I bet you it was more than that. That movie didn't make money. All right. There's a reason why Iger looked at Kennedy and said, if this movie doesn't make $1 billion, you don't get your bonus. And now, when you're looking at the number that is quoted by Disney, and that's out there, $395 million, and that's not including the reshoots, you understand why it's not going to make its money back. Okay, you understand why Iger is pissed, and she's a terror. Look, I've said it. This is Kennedy in a nutshell, and now her husband, right along with her. They're a team of dumbasses. They're incompetent leaders. They have no creative bones in their bodies. They don't pay attention to budgets. That's not even me saying that. That's somebody that used to work at Lucasfilm saying if it didn't work, they just film it over. Millions and millions of dollars of Disney dollars gone bye-bye, okay? 4, the activist part of Kennedy got tickled, and for some reason, both of these two idiots decided to trample all over George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and Harrison Ford. All right? And God knows what dumbass advice Frank gave Kathy about Star Wars. Okay, look at these numbers. This is unbelievable. And you sit there and act like she's not going anywhere? Really? This is the reason why when people say things like that I get mad and I start talking down, because reality is far different than the imaginations and the mythology that the fandom menace and the shills have wrapped around Ms. Kennedy and her husband. Okay? This has got real business issues. This is finance. All right? This is reality. Real world. Okay? This is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.